From the basement of Wayne and Garth.
Excellent.
Comes the most high-octane.
I think it's gonna blow chugs.
Vitamin-packed.
I'm getting tired of holding this.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Industrial strength.
From this height, you could really hock a loogie on someone.
Adventure of all time.
Hi, Wayne.
It's Wayne. It's Garth. It's Wayne's World.
We're not mental or anything, so don't be afraid.
Rated PG-13. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy. I think you're worthy. Part 1 of our special 2-part Waynestock episode. Wayne's World begins right now. Back to the Couch Brotato Podcast. With me, as always, is Lucas. Lucas, what's going on, buddy?
Well, not always.
Well, yeah, I was going to say.
I am on a streak now.
Yeah, it's 3 in a row now, man. It's almost like you're getting back into things.
It's almost like I'm a regular.
Right. It's like almost like when we started.
I'm doing good though, Russ. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. This week's episode, I think this is kind of one that for me and you, because we're both big fans of these movies, and go ahead.
I was gonna say I think we quote these like constantly.
I think we do too. We're actually giving you guys a 2-part episode. We're doing we're calling it Waynestock still, right?
Yep, Waynestock.
All right, yeah, we're going to give you guys Wayne's World 1 and 2. So this is going to be
lucky bastards.
Yeah, for all 6 of you that listen. So we should have our biggest week yet, just because 6 people have 2 episodes to listen to this week.
Woo! Moving on up.
That's right. This is going to be part 1, Wayne's World, which did you get to see this in movie theaters? I know you're quite a bit younger than I am.
It came out in 92, right?
Yeah.
I was 5, so I think the first time I saw this was on HBO.
Okay.
A few years, later.
Yeah. See, me being a little older, I remember I was here opening weekend for this.
Nice.
Because I'm a huge Saturday Night Live fan. So when I found out they were doing a Wayne's World movie, I was like, I gotta go. Which is funny. Go ahead.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you tonight, buddy.
It's okay.
I am a fan of like Saturday Night Live from the older days. Not so much, the recent stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they've been on a little bit of a roll here the last 4 or 5 years with some stuff, but yeah, like I'm pretty much anything from Will Ferrell back. I love. This is actually probably the Mike Myers era. Is probably my favorite because this is what I actually grew up watching.
Well, that's good stuff to watch for sure.
Yeah, actually, first thing. Well, I tell you what, we'll just go into the tale of tape, and then we'll kind of dive in a little bit about Saturday Night Live and this being a skit. So we'll just dive right into the tale of tape here real quick. Wayne's World, released February 14th, 1992. Directed by Penelope Spheris. Stars Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Rob Lowe, and Tia Carrere. A Rotten Tomatoes score of 78% from critics and 84% from audiences. Box office was $183 million on a $20 million budget.
Which is a lot of money.
That's a lot of scratch.
1992.
A lot of scratch. Yeah. And surprisingly, it's not streaming anywhere. I thought for sure this would be on Paramount Plus, but it's not. Neither one of them are.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So if you guys want to watch the movies before or after you listen to us, you're just going to have to rent them on iTunes. Sorry, I don't make the rules.
Why not?
Yeah. I wish I had the power to, it's like, you know what, just put them on there, guys. Do it for the fans.
Well, yeah, we just did an episode, guys. Why would you not put it on there?
Right. Like Paramount Plus should be like, hey, are you doing any of our movies soon? I think we've done enough Paramount movies during our run that they should.
We're still waiting on our check.
Right. Well, getting back to Saturday Night Live skits, this actually was the second movie based on a Saturday Night Live skit. The first one was the Blues Brothers back in 1980. So I wanted to ask you, where would you rank Wayne's World amongst the Saturday Night Live movies? I think they've done 7 or 8 of them.
So I don't know that I've seen all of them.
Well, real quick, they've done The Blues Brothers, Wayne's World 2, Coneheads, Night at the Roxbury, Superstar, Stuart Smalley Saves His Family, It's Pat. I'm probably missing one, but then they did MacGruber. So I think 9. I was close.
Okay, so I've probably seen 4 or 5 of them of the 9. I'd say Wayne's World is probably... It's definitely the one I quote the most, so I'd have to say it's probably my favorite. I know that you are not a big fan of Coneheads, but I am. I really like Coneheads. So I think probably the Wayne's World movies would be 1 and 2, and then Coneheads for me.
See, you've never seen The Blues Brothers, have you?
No, I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never seen the whole thing.
Yeah, see, I'm a huge Aykroyd and Belushi guy. So I think it's close between Wayne's World 1 and The Blues Brothers for the top. I guess it depends on the mood I'm in. I'm not a huge fan of musicals, and I've always considered The Blues Brothers to be a musical, and it's probably my favorite one. So I would say probably The Blues Brothers just by a smidge over Wayne's World.
But by a cunt here?
Come on, Lucas. We're better than that.
No,
we're better than that. Matter of fact, we should probably cut that out.
I don't like it. I want to keep it in.
Well, hey, that's Lucas being vulgar, everybody. But then, yeah, I'd say Wayne's World 2 would be number 3. And I don't know. I'm a huge fan of MacGruber. But outside of those 4, I think Saturday Night Live movies have been more missed than hits.
Yeah.
I don't like Coneheads. I can't stand Night at the Roxbury. I don't think I made it all the way through Stuart Smalley and It's Pat, which I wasn't fans of those skits anyways. Then
I laughed a little bit at Superstar.
the Ladies Man 2's one too.
I don't know that one.
Tim
the
Meadows.
Part where she sticks her fingers though in her armpits and sniffs them. Oh man, it fucking cracked me up.
See, those
First time
movies
I saw
work better
that.
as skits though than movies. Like I think like they stretch them out too much, and they just shouldn't be movies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just like The Hobbit should have been one movie.
It should have, but we'll save our Hobbit discussion for another day.
You got it, dude.
Captain Vulgarity. I don't know. I was as I was researching this, I was kind of looking at the legacy of Wayne's World. Like, what do you think the legacy of this movie is? Because I have a pretty interesting talking point for it, but I wanted to hear what you had to think first.
Well, I think it, really ignited Mike Myers' career. Now I know he was, somewhat of a big deal on Saturday Night Live, but he wasn't the star that he is now or was. It helped him kick off Austin Powers. Helped him get Shrek. So, I feel like this movie really was a big deal for him. Culturally, at least from you and I and Adam, producer Adam, we use a lot of the lines from these movies. So I think it's very quotable, which is always an impact, kind of like I guess you can't really say a cult hit if it's $180 million, but.
No, it's definitely not a cult movie for sure.
But yeah, I think it was culturally significant in the comedy.
Mm-hmm. I think its legacy is kind of. This is like it kicked off a pretty big run of like the lovable loser comedies that were like so big in the 1990s.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Like, because I'm just trying to think. A few years after Wayne's World, you got Ace Ventura, who's kind of a loser. That movie became a huge. Well, he was. I mean, he's a pet detective who. I mean, he drives a shit car, and this
Tells
is
Dan
his big
Marino that
case.
he's not giving him any more gum because it's none of his goddamn business if he has any more.
Right. Adam Sandler takes off in this era. Then even it starts leading into the Apatow stuff after the late 90s. Mike Myers ends up cultivating this into a big career too. So, I mean, I just think it kind of kicked off that huge era of the slacker comedy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I have them from time to time. I really didn't go too much in depth about it, but that's kind of just my thoughts on it. And like, I think this was the kickstart, and then like you just start seeing all these SNL guys became huge movie stars. You got Adam Sandler, of course. Chris Farley was also who's in this movie.
Yeah,
you got Tommy Boy comes out of that too. So, and I mean,
this is the first time Chris Farley was on film, wasn't it?
I want to say yes, because he plays the security guard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, don't quote me on that, but I think it's the first time he was in a movie. Because I don't think he had been a featured performer on Saturday Night Live going into this. I think he was in it, but he wasn't like as prominently featured as he went on to be later on.
I miss that dude. He was fucking hilarious.
I miss him too. He was so awesome. That's the one we've got to do at some point too, is Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
All right, well, with that being said, will you want to go ahead and dive into Research Corner? Or do you have another lewd comment to throw in there?
Not at the moment,
okay.
But I'm sure I can come up with something.
Please don't. All right, I thought this was kind of interesting. You know the scene where Wayne decides to buy the guitar, and he starts strumming it, and it says "No Stairway."
Yeah.
I guess apparently that was a big thing in British music stores in the 70s. They had signs that said, "Don't play Stairway to Heaven." They would kick you out, or they would fine you money, which I don't see how you could do that. But they would there'd be repercussions for playing Stairway to Heaven in a British record store or like a music store.
So I know that you play guitar. And
not very well,
I started to learn, but is that song just so easy to play? Is that why everybody did it?
You know, I never mastered that song, so it's extremely difficult for me. But I think it's one of the easier ones, at least the opening. More polished guitar players, please chime in and let us know if it's as easy as I'm making it sound. But yeah, I never got into it good enough to where I could play Stairway to Heaven.
Me either. I didn't get into it enough to where I learned all the fucking chords. So
right. It's No Smoke on the Water. Now that one I can play a little bit.
Nice.
We'll go more into depth into this scene a little bit later, but Paramount wanted the producers of this movie to use a Guns N' Roses song in the infamous car scene where they play Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't think it would have worked as well.
Yeah, no, I think this song lines up perfectly. I think Bohemian Rhapsody lines up perfectly with the movie.
Mm-hmm. Tia Carrere sings her own songs in this movie. As a matter of fact, 2 of her songs are in the soundtrack, which is actually a really good early 90s movie soundtrack. The cover of Ballroom Blitz, and then what's that song called? Why You Want to Break My Heart, the song she does the music video for.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I've ever listened to both of those all the way through. Just, seen them on the movie.
I actually dig the Ballroom Blitz cover. It's actually, I heard that one before I actually heard the Ballroom Blitz song.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I guess that means it did its job then.
Right. Introduced that song to a whole new audience. The character of Wayne, who's played by Mike Myers, he actually developed that in Second City, which is a famous comedy troupe in Chicago. And Wayne was a solo character. They didn't introduce Garth until Saturday Night Live.
Huh. I was thinking about this as I was watching the movie. Wayne, like my dad dresses just like Wayne. Like when I was a kid, my dad had the fucking ripped jeans and the ball cap and
the long hair pulling out.
Yep.
Now, this one I knew, but I didn't know it for a long time. When this movie came out, I was always fascinated, and I was on I had to find a Stan Mikita's Donuts, but it turns out Stan Mikita's Donuts is fake. It's just for the movie. But it's based off the Tim Hortons donut chain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tim Horton was actually, and I didn't know this, he was a Hall of Fame hockey player, played 24 seasons in the NHL.
I didn't know that either.
Which for most of you that live in Chicago or hockey fans, Stan Mikita was a legendary Blackhawks player. He played 21 seasons, I believe, with the Blackhawks. But yeah, Tim Horton, I just thought he was a donut guy. I didn't know he played in the NHL.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. I wish they would keep the hockey theme with their donuts. Like, I'd order a box of 5 holes, and they're called Timbits instead.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when Burger King buys you and ruins you.
Well, I think they were called Timbits before Burger King bought them out.
I'm still going to blame Burger King.
Okay, do whatever you want.
I got a vendetta.
Okay, hey, you take that up with the king. So speaking of the car scene, we'll go ahead and hop into the I Drink Your Milkshake Award for the best scene of the movie.
Well, I actually had some research.
Oh. Well, no one cares. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good. So hosting a cable access show was a lifelong dream of Myers. That's why the Wayne's World show was a show within a show.
I wanted to do the same thing after I seen this movie. I wanted to have like my own television show on cable access. I had so many ideas. Like me and friends were like, oh, let's do like a heavy metal video show. Like we were gonna do I'm a fan. It's not really a thing anymore, and it pretty much had died out by the 90s. But there used to be there's one in Columbus called Fritz the Night Owl, who I loved, and I wanted to bring that back. Like he was a guy that they used to show movies on the local Columbus CBS affiliate, and what they did was they'd show movies. Fritz would come on. He would give like interesting tidbits or try to be funny, tell jokes, stuff like that. And I kind of wanted to do that too.
Well, I mean, you could always revive that. Although
Fritz is still around, he still does it. So,
well, but he also doesn't have like a top, 5% in the world podcast like we do. So, just saying. So the hood of the car scene when the airplane's flying over, Myers and Carvey improvised that scene. So like all the dialogue on that is improvised. So did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when he put on a dress and played a girl bunny? Daniel Carvey just came up with that off the top of his head.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Nice.
Tia Carrere turned down a role on Baywatch to play the love interest in this movie.
Oh, really?
Which I think is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, Baywatch was like the most watched show in the world, I think, at this point. Or it's close to becoming the most watched show in the world.
Yeah. And my last one is, though the movie was set in Aurora, Illinois, it was only 2 of the 34-day shoot were actually shot in Aurora, Illinois.
Really?
The rest were in L.A., yeah.
First time I ever went to Chicago, we used to take a train into Chicago. We stayed in one of the suburbs. I don't remember which one, but we always went through Aurora on our way to Chicago.
I bet that was like a nostalgia thing, too.
It was. I was trying to find, I knew Stan Mikita's wasn't real by then, but I was, looking for, stuff that, maybe was that Channel 9 television station? Yeah, I was trying to find that, just, landmarks from the city. And
that'd be so cool.
apparently, the library in Aurora has, memorabilia from the movies in it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think if you're gonna use a city like that, I think the city deserves some of the memorabilia.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, you want to fight about it? Some librarian coming. Yeah, the librarians from the Aurora Public Library. It's like that scene in Anchorman, the the news team fight scene.
Yeah.
So you got dudes with a mace and knives and stuff. Well, a lot of good facts there, Lucas. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I think I'm still shaken from your lewd comment from earlier.
Oh, jeez. If that's the worst thing you've heard from me,
yeah,
then I'm not doing my job as a friend.
It's probably not the worst thing I've heard from you today. All right, now we will dive into the I Drink Your Milkshake award for the best scene of the movie. That
sounds good?
Okay. I didn't know if you had anything else. I didn't want to cut you off.
Nope, we're good.
Okay. I think this is the first time you and I have done one, just the two of us, in a little while, so maybe my rhythm's thrown off.
Yeah, we're a little rusty.
No pun intended.
Ew.
Okay. The I Drink Your Milkshake award for the best scene of the movie.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
First one I have is the Bohemian Rhapsody sing-along in the car. That's pretty much an iconic movie scene period now.
Yeah, everybody. I think if you know this movie, or maybe even if you don't know this movie, you know that scene.
Well, first thing, it was my introduction to Queen. I never really, I always say my mom's the one that got me into rock music, but I never really heard her listen to much Queen. And the only Queen song I knew was the We Will Rock You and the We Are the Champions. When they always, on the radio, it seemed like they put them together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the only time I'd heard Queen before this.
Got a couple fun facts for you about the scene.
Oh, really? Go right ahead.
Dana Carvey and Mike Myers actually hurt their necks headbanging because they're apparently a bunch of amateurs. You know, me and you being the metalheads that we are, we're used to all the headbanging.
Oh yeah, like my neck, I could take a pile driver right now and be fine.
And Bohemian Rhapsody actually charted higher because of this movie than it did when it was originally released. It made it to number 2. In its original run, it made it to number 9. So
yeah, I had that written in my notes too. You know what's funny about that is Mike Myers goes on to play the record company executive in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, who didn't want them to release that as a single, according to the movie, anyways.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was kind of. Yeah, it just like that scene, though. Like, I think it's just like an iconic '90s movie scene, and like you can't hear that song without thinking of that scene. Which is
I do every time.
Yeah, every time I hear that song, like Wayne's World's the first thing that comes to my mind. The second scene that I have is the studio blue screen test. I just kind of dig that because they're kind of having some fun with it. Like I love the hey, we're in New York. Hey, I got a gun. Let's go to a Broadway show. And then of course they end it with hey, we're in Delaware. Great, we're in Delaware. Yeah. That scene always cracks me up. I have the scene in the music store where Wayne actually goes and has the money to buy the guitar. I think I relate to that scene just because, like, being, like, younger, when there was stuff that I always wanted to buy and I never had the money to get it. And then, like, when I finally had enough to buy something, just so you get that instant gratification. And I could see where he's coming from.
Yeah, when he pulls out the money, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, because he even says earlier, it will be mine. Oh, yes, it will be mine. And then he gets the guitar.
Well, I think just any time you work hard for something and you get it, that's just satisfying.
Yeah, and I noticed watching 2 today, he still has that guitar.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. The third scene I have, the fourth scene I have is the Alice Cooper backstage meeting.
Yeah.
Because first time I seen it, totally caught me off guard. Alice Cooper just dropping some knowledge on him.
Yeah, I guess he thought he was coming in just to do the music video and then like one line.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave him a whole dialogue thing that he had to memorize that day, and he did.
I think to this day, my brother's not a big movie fan, but Wayne's World is one of the few movies he really likes. And I think to this day, him and I still refer to like any sports team from Milwaukee, which I think they just have they have the Brewers and the Bucks. And congratulations to Milwaukee for an NBA championship. But we always call Milwaukee Milwaukee.
Nice.
Yeah. I remember I went to a Cincinnati Reds game, and they were playing the Brewers, and my brother's like, so how was the game against Milwaukee? Just randomly, I'm like, fuck, we still got it.
Yep. See, this movie is just so quotable.
And then did you know, too, that they did the We're Not Worthy bit for like 5 or 6 minutes?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
yeah. The last one I have is the ending where they do the multiple endings. You get the bad ending where Cassandra doesn't get the record contract, and then they do the Scooby-Doo ending where Rob Lowe's actually like some creepy old man. They pull the mask off.
Yeah.
And then they do the happy ending where, of course, it's the typical movie ending where everything gets the nice little bow at the end. Cassandra gets the contract. Wayne's the hero. So I kind of like
the
that.
way it should be.
Yeah. I think, at least for me, I think I know who wins this, but do you have any other nominees before we announce the winner?
Yeah. I also I have when they're at Gasworks, the Ooh, Dreamweaver. I love that part because I still reference that today.
Mm-hmm.
The music video when Wayne tries to win Cassandra back and he pulls the film out of that one camera and it just slowly unwinds.
Yeah, it just keeps unspooling. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's hilarious. When they go and they go to attempt to steal their equipment back, and what is that guy's name? He's Rob Lowe's assistant in this movie.
His name is Russell.
Yeah. That part cracks me up. I love you, man. I know. I love you. Just say thank you.
You know that guy? His name's Kurt Fuller, and I always recognize him as he's the villain in that Hulk Hogan movie, No Holds Barred.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You know, I've actually seen that movie. I think isn't that the reason that UFC uses an octagon too?
I don't think it's because of a random Hulk Hogan movie, but you could be right. I never bothered to look that up.
And then, oh yeah, that's all I have because I also have the final scene when the house burns down and they do the redo.
Mm-hmm. Who wins this one?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has to be the car scene. Simply for how it's still an iconic scene even to this day.
You know, I don't know that I would ever have heard Queen if it weren't for that.
That's a lot of people. My brother bought the Wayne's World soundtrack on cassette tape. I know, showing my age, simply for that song. He didn't buy it for anything else. He just listened to that song on repeat.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it's
actually,
funny.
I lied to you. I had heard Queen because I grew up living in a bar. My house was connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
Fat Bottom Girls was a song by Queen that I heard more than any other.
Well, I guess that's a good one. I always remember it as my brother trying to sing it and him butchering the lyrics.
Didn't he also say Cannonball for Panama?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he always thought that said Cannonball. I doubt he listens to me, but he's going to say, hey, you were talking about me on your show. Like, yeah, damn straight I was.
So Bohemian Rhapsody in the car wins it.
Yep, that's got to be the winner. Without a doubt. So that will take us into the King Kong I Got Shit on Me award for the best line of the movie.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
I have some nominees. There's a ton. There was so much to go through. I had trouble picking 5, but we'll see.
I think I have 6 or 7 written down. I don't know.
Okay, I'm sure you and I probably have at least 1 or 2 of the same.
I'm sure, yeah.
I have It Will Be Mine. Oh, yes, it will be mine. And then he also changes it up to She Will Be Mine. Oh, yes. She will be mine.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I have that one as well.
I have We're Not Worthy, because I think me and my buddies got a whole summer out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have Yes, Pete. It is. Actually, it's pronounced Milwaukee, which is Algonquin for the good land.
Alice Cooper bringing the facts.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Phil, if you're going to spew into this, which I have an interesting question about Phil. Is he drunk or is he strung out? I mean, I think he's supposed to be drunk because, like, you see him, like, he looks like he's throwing up and his eyes kind of get cross-eyed, but he seriously looks strung out because his eyes seem to be a little, like, blackened. And then,
I don't know. See, I thought drunk just because of the spew part, when you're so drunk you throw up. But you bring up an interesting point because he does look strung out.
Yeah, I mean, he either, like, can't handle his liquor, he's strung out, or that dude, when he gets off, it's 5 o'clock. 5:01's Miller time, and he just fucking goes for it.
Well, I thought it was hilarious when they were in the shop, and he's like, "Man, were you at Gasworks on Friday?" Like, Wayne's like, "We picked you up. We were there."
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like he's a functioning addict or drunk. I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting question. The last one I have is from Garth. If Benjamin were an ice cream, he'd be pralines and dick.
Oh man, so many funny lines in this movie. I have one that you and I both use still. If she were president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln.
Yep, we still use that one all the time.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one's probably, that's a strong contender.
I forgot about this line, but I remembered it as I was watching. That bass player is a babe. She makes me feel kind of funny, like when we used to climb the rope in gym class.
Yeah.
Garth, that fucking was hilarious. And then when the suck cut is on his head at the beginning, it's sucking my will to live. I thought that was hilarious too.
Did they actually make that as a device? I swear that's a fucking real thing.
I hope not, because God, can you imagine having your fucking hair pulled out by that thing? That sounds awful.
Mm.
So yeah, some of my lines I don't think they're gonna win necessarily, but I think that they, like, since we use them so much, I had to throw them in there.
Yeah, we also left out car. Game on.
Oh yeah, game on.
Yeah, we both managed to leave off party on.
Yeah.
Which I think that should probably be the winner. I can't believe neither one of us mentioned it. I was expecting you to.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most memorized lines from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we really shit the bed in this
movie,
one.
They think of that.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of amateurs.
Yeah, we're shitting the bed on this episode tonight. Let's be real. But hey, you know what, though? This is for me and you.
That's right. So we're not shitting the bed. We're having a great fucking time.
That's right. So is it going to be party on then? Is that the winner?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, neither one of our nominees win. I think that's a first for this show.
That's pretty cool, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty cool, that there's one that just kind of popped up in our head just because there's so many from this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that was the problem, is just the fact that there were so many that you could choose from that it was hard to narrow it down to 5.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought about putting the Eric Stoltz Award in here for who you'd recast, but I couldn't really think of anybody to recast.
I have one.
Oh, we'll go right ahead.
Brian Doyle Murray, who is the arcade owner.
Come bust a move where the games are hip. It's dope. It's fresh. It's Noah's Arcade.
I don't buy that some old dude like that would know anything about owning an arcade.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just replace him with somebody slightly younger. It would make a little bit more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just nitpicking, really.
Do you have anybody in mind? But I think that's part of what makes that character kind of work, though, is the fact that he owns an arcade, but he's old, and you can clearly tell he's out of touch with his consumers. It's just the fact that, like, video games, arcades were big during his time frame, so obviously he's going to make a ton of money.
I don't have anybody, no. I'm not good at replacing actors with actors. Because I'm not an actor and I don't know shit about acting.
Well, didn't you do that one-man Hamlet at the park a few years ago?
God, could you imagine that? There'd be one person there.
I think you refer to that as your. Well, I'd probably stop by and check it out for a little bit, and I just tell my wife, like, this is getting kind of boring. Let's go. We use the kids as an excuse. Anyway. Didn't you call it your 6-hour Magnus Opus?
I should have.
Yeah. Okay, but so you don't have anybody that you would recast in that Brian Doyle Murray role?
No.
I'm trying to think who would be. That might be somebody that you could probably get, like, from TV, maybe.
Yeah.
If they wanted to go big, though, like, I could totally see someone like Dan Aykroyd doing it, just to kind of that Saturday Night Live connection. But he ends up doing that.
Sorry.
He does that a couple years later in Tommy Boy, though. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has the voice for it. Like Dan Aykroyd has that voice that you just instantly recognize that it's him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or like maybe someone from like SCTV. Like you probably don't remember the TV show. And I'm probably like, I doubt most of the people that listen to this even know what I'm talking about. But Second City had a television show that had like Eugene Levy and John Candy, Rick Moranis came out of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess that's an interesting choice. I could maybe see them, like, somebody else playing that. But I had no problems with who they got.
I was just nitpicking, really.
Yeah. But out of the major people, I can't really see recasting anybody with that.
No, I was pretty happy with everybody else. Especially Rob Lowe, because I'm pretty sure this, like, revived his career after that sex scandal.
It did. He was kind of like a teen heartthrob, the it guy, and then like he got, I think it was a sex tape if I'm not mistaken, and it kind of killed his career for a little while. Then he came back. I think he met Mike Myers on the set of Saturday Night Live. He was hosting, and then that's how he eventually got the Wayne's World gig, and then. Yeah, it saved his career. I mean, he was never really a leading man after that. But, I mean, fuck, he's actually really funny. He had that huge run in Parks and Rec for, I think he was in there all but, like, the first season.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, he is hilarious in that.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's really nobody I would choose. But, yeah, Rob Lowe, great pick. Lou Brown, give him the Heater Award for the best performance by a bit player.
Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater.
I'll let you lead off with your nominees before I get into mine. Who do you got?
I've got, I don't know if it's Laura or Lara Flynn Boyle.
Oh, Laura Flynn Boyle, yeah.
As Stacy, because she looks like a totally crazy, clingy girlfriend.
You've dated
Alice
a couple
Cooper.
of those, haven't you?
I have. I married one, too. Crazy bitch. Alice Cooper as himself, because I think he's hilarious as himself. And Ed O'Neill as Glenn, because he's on the screen for, 3 minutes? And
I don't even think he's in there for 3 minutes. He's not in there long at all.
Yeah, it's okay, maybe a minute, maybe 30 seconds. I don't know. But it's it's hilarious.
And this is when he was in Married with Children, too. So, I mean, you knew who he was.
Big deal. Yeah.
I had 2 of your 3 nominees. I had Ed O'Neill as Glenn, and I had Alice Cooper, and then I also had Chris Farley. Because that little scene that he's in, I love that. And, I used to do that from time to time where if somebody was asking me where something was at, I would point in the general direction, and I would just slightly move my hand the other way, throw them off. For me,
so it looks like a battle between Alice Cooper and Ed O'Neill. Then
I got to give it to Ed O'Neill because I think everybody has run into that guy at some point at a restaurant or something. Just the guy that has pretty much lost his will to live, and he's just kind of functioning through life, and he just hates everything. He's had a shitty go of it, and he lets everybody know how bad he's had it.
Well, you posed the question to me, how the hell is he still out of jail?
Yeah, he killed
someone.
He killed somebody, and he's still he's managing a Stan Mikita's. Maybe they got it dropped to manslaughter, and that's the best job he could get. And he slowly worked his way up because they never really give a time frame when he killed somebody.
Right.
I'm guessing that he did it when he was really young. So, that being said, say he gets a manslaughter charge, he's 18 when he does it, he gets 25 years. He should be out of prison by this time frame.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I had 3 questions in this movie. I'm trying to figure out, like, one, how did they get from, or how's Glenn not in prison? I also couldn't figure out how Wayne and Garth got from Milwaukee to Chicago or back to Aurora so fast to do the show. Because Milwaukee to Chicago is like an hour and 40 minutes, I think. And I think Wayne's World's like an 11:30 show.
Yeah. And
most concerts usually end at like 11.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Plus, they went backstage.
Mm-hmm. And they hung out with Alice Cooper for a while. So unless, like, Alice Cooper was doing a fucking matinee, which I don't know if that was a thing. How did that happen?
The Alice Cooper matinee in Milwaukee.
And I also have one other question, and I know you wanted to bring her up, but Wayne is not exactly like somebody I would call strikingly handsome.
Right.
But he has Laura Flynn Boyle, like, obsessing over him. Laura Flynn Boyle, very attractive. And then he has Tia Carrere,
who is Abraham Lincoln.
Correct. Which the early part of 92 was very instrumental in my formative years between seeing Tia Carrere on stage and then Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. I'll let you guys fill in the blanks. Probably don't want to, but yeah, like, I don't get how he has it like that. I don't know if it's just his charisma or what, but, like, he's kind of got that Sandler thing in Sandler movies. Like, Sandler for a while had this thing where, like, his wife in the movies got progressively better looking each movie he made.
I don't know. Some musicians are, like, uglier than dog shit. So maybe it's that effect.
True, but he's also, like, he's local famous. He's not, like, big time famous.
Maybe these ladies thought that's the best they could get.
That could be. I don't know. It's just
public access dude, or maybe he's just got a horse cock. That could be too.
It may be. I don't know. I've always wondered that. Okay, well, let's get away from that. But yeah,
let's get away from horse cocks.
Yeah. All right, the last category of the night is the newly minted "I'm King of the World" award.
I'm King of the World
for who wins the movie. Who do you have?
I actually have a couple. I have you and I. We win this movie.
Oh, really?
Because of all the quotes. So we get to win because this movie formulated like half of our sentences that we say to each other.
Yeah, we still are stuck in 1992.
But it's definitely Mike Myers and Dana Carvey to me.
Yeah, I have them winning it too. Why do you have them?
Well, for all the reasons we mentioned with Mike Myers, his career really lifted off after this. And Dana Carvey, we all have that awkward friend who always throws in the jokes and stuff that we always have around. Kind of like how you bring me along to your podcast, and I try to be funny, and I'm a little awkward and weird.
How do you
know?
know?
I see a lot of Mike Myers and Dana Carvey in us.
How do you know it's not the other way around?
I just know.
You bring me onto your show, and then I try to intersect with like funny lines that just don't work.
Well, because you've never said cunt here as an official form of measurement like I have.
Is that measurement in like Canada?
I've heard Australians say it.
Okay.
So it's possibly an Australian measurement.
Okay. Well,
hey, if we have any Australians that listen to the show, which we know we've had people listen in Australia, go ahead and shoot us an email or something on our socials. Let us know. How long is a cunt hair?
Or maybe I'll just have Adam cut this out. They'll never know.
Or that.
I have Dana Carvey and Mike Myers winning it too. Like for me personally, I think they kind of softened the stereotype of like rock fans and metalheads. We've kind of got a stigma that we're like dirt bags and we're like all about violence and killing, and it's not really like that at all. Like anybody listens to heavy metal, it's just like we're a tight-knit community that we really look out for one another. And it kind of, to me anyways, it changed that perception somewhat. And then also, like, they kind of were able to take two of the most iconic, Wayne's World's probably one of the most iconic Saturday Night Live skits. And they turned it into a successful movie, which, as I said earlier, has not been an easy task. Like, to me, they've only made 3 if you count Wayne's World 2. 3 out of 10 successful Saturday Night Live movies that work, at least in my opinion.
Well, I'll go with 4 because I like Coneheads.
Okay, whatever. Whatever you say. But yeah, I mean, I would just give it to them for that. It's a shame though that like Mike Myers' career took off and he got even bigger, and then Dana Carvey never really got off the ground.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, isn't it?
Well, I mean, like, considering that at the time of Wayne's World when Mike Myers joined, Dana Carvey was probably the biggest star on that show because he had the church lady. He had his impression of George Bush, George Sr. I forget his initials. I get him confused anymore. But yeah, he was a big Thank you. He was the biggest star on the show at that time, and it's kind of like they almost like once the movie came out, they kind of switched roles. And I think Dana Carvey got stuck in the sidekick role after that.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like when this show finally goes big, they're going to force you to get a new co-host because you can't have that shitbag Lucas on there with you.
But you don't have to worry about that. We're not going to get big. Big for us is like, oh, hey, 8 people listen to you guys now.
One can hope.
Yeah. All right. Well, Lucas, do you have anything you want to add to this before we end part 1?
No, I'm just really glad that they made this movie and that you and I quote the shit out of it constantly still.
Right. Yeah. It's probably in my top 10 favorite comedies of all time. Like it's one that whenever I catch it on TV, and for me, comedy is kind of subjective. Like there's comedies that I like, and there's very few that I really love, and this is in the love category. Like anytime it's on, I'm like, I'm gonna watch at least 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, I always hope that I catch the Bohemian Rhapsody scene, or for me, I really like the Dreamweaver stuff. I think it's hilarious. Because I don't know about you, but I've been awestruck by a woman, and you feel like nothing else is going on. You got tunnel vision, and just a beautiful song playing. Yeah,
I've been there. Been there many a time. But that's going to wrap up part 1. Once you get done with this, part 2 will be ready for you. We're going to upload both of these on Monday, so you get 2.5 hours worth of Wayne's World stuff. So that should be fun. So after this, Wayne's World 2, check us out. So we'll talk to you guys in a couple of minutes, I guess. So that's going to wrap up part 1 of our special 2-part Waynestock special. The second part, Wayne's World 2, is going to be popping up on this feed at the same time as the first one, so you'll have both episodes to listen to back to back. So be sure to catch part 2 coming up right now.